obviously you guys can't operate in the kingdom of how the fans feel about today and stuff, but the fan base doesn't seem very happy with inactivity compared to where you guys are in the standings. How do you justify the inactivity and moving forward with this group when this group hasn't shown consistency yet this season?
Well, consistency is the word, right? So I think I can start with saying that we were pretty active at trade deadline. It just didn't seem like there were deals for us to make to improve this group. And at the end of the day, we decided to go with this group for the next 28 games. I just think that this group showed some resiliency, improvement this year, because we kind of flipped the script from last year beating bad teams, losing to good teams, this year winning against good teams and losing to below 500 teams, staying in a lot of games. I'm like a fan base, hate to lose in a lot of those close games, but a lot of those games where we're in it, it's just disappointing to see that our record doesn't show that we improved. But in a lot of those games, it's just disappointing that we lose at the end. So after a busy couple of days, I think, we came to the conclusion that this was the best group for us to give us the best chance to win.
Were you disappointed you couldn't get something done because of the current makeup, or did you kind of feel with the way the market was and the way people are talking with your assets that there might not just be a match?
Well, that's what you're looking at. There were so many buyers, right? So there were a lot of teams that didn't want to take a step back, including us. So we tried to improve our team, but at what cost? And that price was not okay with us. So I think, next stage for us now that we passed the trade deadline is to evaluate this group next 28 games. Like I said, mediocrity and average is not okay with us. But the next step is what's going to happen for the rest of the season, and then how we can address, during the draft and free agency, the shortcomings. So,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You talked so much about roster continuity. You obviously have not been able to achieve that because of Lonzo's injury. Two questions. Do you expect Lonzo to play this season? And what gives you belief in this core of your big three still?
Well, I don't know regarding Zoe. I think he's making small improvements, but we're still going to have more information for you probably post All-Star weekend, and we're going to inform you about that. Regarding this group, again, I thought that there are small improvements this year in terms of, staying in games, coming back from large deficits in the games that we had no business to be in, pulling out at the end, and obviously there were a lot of painful losses that we were very close. So at the end of the day, we thought that this was the best group for us to finish the season.
Yeah, are you confident you'll be able to re-sign Nikola Vucevic before he hits unrestricted?
I'm confident. I mean, he's having an unbelievable year, and we want him to be here. So I just think that for this group now is important. Now that the trade deadline is passed, this is the group that we're sticking with, and they can go out there and play and put a foot on the gas and put together a run.
Just one more about the offseason, since you didn't make a deal today. You also have, beyond Vuce, you have three other players you have to make decisions on, Ayo, Kobe, and Javante. So how confident are you that you're going to be able to make improvements this summer, given your guys' salary structure and also the franchise's historic reputation with the luxury tax?
No, I think we'll have ways to do it. This trade deadline, showed us that, we have a lot of good players, and we've got a lot of value around the league, and I think there's ways to do it. We will look at, how to improve it is based obviously on the next 28 games and how we're going to finish the season, and we'll go from there. And I can address that after the season in media. So
I think you're ninth now in given the landscape of what the other teams did in front of you and back of you, where do you feel you are for these last 28 games as far as where you are and where you can be?
I mean, I still have confidence in this group right now. I think we would have, if we pulled it out the last game, we would have been in 8th spot. So there's still wiggle room. There's some parity in the East. I think the trade deadline kind of shifted some quality more towards West. So there's a chance obviously to compete in the Eastern Conference, and there's a lot of teams that are pretty good, but they're just clutch altogether. So I think there's a chance there in the next 28 games.
Did you, if you could say, is that for you? Did you involve yourself in any of these what we consider major moves that teams make? Were you also involved in those?
What moves?
Durant or any of the big,
I mean,
the
we tried.
biggest moves that
Well, we tried to get into a lot of a lot of deals, but at the end of the day, we didn't make any of them. So I think after looking at the in return and what we had to give up to improve the team, we thought that it was prudent to stick to this group for the next 28 games.
Was there, did you find there was demand for certain of your players and you just didn't like what was being offered?
I think so. I think we have a good team. We have a lot of good players, we made calls. We got a lot of calls. It was pretty busy, but at the end of the day, I think we were also buyers. We wanted to improve our team, but we couldn't capitalize on that.
There was one thing I was curious about from the end of last season when Billy did his closing thing. He said, this is not sustainable. DeRozan, he hit all these incredible shots, had like the best shooting month in NBA history, practically game winners. And then this season, he's kind of said that a lot again. Even after the last game, I think maybe Memphis, I'm not sure which one, he talked about, we are where we've been. We're kind of the same. So is it kind of counterintuitive that, given the coach has said those things, you want to talk about, sort of staying what you are, the consistency you talked about?
Well, I think there's certain things that you can improve, and I think this group can, learn from painful losses. It's painful to watch them, sometimes, lose in those close games. I'm just like a fan base watching them, and we have a chance to win in every game, and we hang in there and then just give it away. So I think this group is learning. So they got 28 games to improve, and we'll see what happens.
Joe asked if you were disappointed. Were you really close to something, or did it just never got to that point?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you that. I mean, there were a lot of hypotheticals and a lot of rumors, and and like I said, we were pretty busy, but nothing capitalized.
Artūras, is there anyone that you deemed on the roster that is absolutely untouchable, or when you are inconsistent like this, you have to have an open mind that everyone has a price?
I think you have to have an open mind, especially when you in the 9th or 10th place. You have to look at yourself realistically, but I think at the end of the day, we looked at this group as a best way to go for the next 28 games.
I'm curious, how do you want to approach the buyout market? Do you feel like there's clear needs that you still maybe fulfill?
We'll look at it. We'll look at first. I have to look through every trade that actually happened and what kind of rosters each team has before we look at the buyout market. So we'll look at it for sure.
Artūras, Io is on a nice little run here. Can you talk about what you've seen out of him in his second year?
I mean, we've seen this growth. Is a lot more resilient than last year. The word that we used here a lot is obviously consistency. We need to find consistency. We find these runs of 3 or 4 games that we get good wins, and then next couple of games we just relax and play with no energy. I think consistency is the key for the next 28 games.
Artūras, I have a question about your guys' shooting. was cited as an off-season need last off-season. Obviously, you guys had the flirtation with Gallinari, which you won't comment on rumors, so you won't acknowledge. And he suffered an unfortunate injury, but your numbers are your numbers as far as shooting. The three-point driven league, you don't take a lot of them. Obviously, Lonzo's absence hurts you in that category, but how difficult is it to watch a team in this modern era play the way you are playing with your lack of shooting, and how can you address it moving forward?
I mean, some games we would have good three-point rate, you know, and the reason why we were in a lot of games last year, we were not shooting a lot of threes, but we were making them, right? We still making them. But again, now our defense in top 10, you know, but our offense is right, you know, it's in the 20s. So I think most of the times we depend on our offense right now, and you know, the games that we just can't make a shot. I mean, last game, you know, we had what, 14 points in the first quarter and 13 in the fourth. I mean, that's struggling on offense, you know. So I think in terms of rate, yes, you know, we would like to bring the three-point rate up more, but I think we still making at the very good rate, the threes.
And one more about your improvements, and I know you can't get specific, but you say like we have avenues to improve the team, but you were aggressive in assembling this roster, and you expended a lot of draft capital to do so. So you may not have your draft pick. As I mentioned before, you face decisions on several contracts of your own players, and I don't know if you want to address this or not, but the franchise history with the luxury tax is what it is. They've only paid it once in franchise history. So what gives you the confidence that you're going to be able to significantly improve this team?
Well, I think we turned the roster around the last couple of years. You know, we've done deals that, you know, in the summertime that a lot of people said that we couldn't do. So I think there's ways to improve it. It's just the timing is going to depend on when you know, make those moves. And this is just a collection of information. Next 28 games is like, you know, where we are.
This date is a key juncture in the NBA calendar. You know, given obviously no trades beyond this. So in 55 or whatever games in, how would you characterize your view of this season so far, in the sense of, are you disappointed, are you surprised?
I am disappointed in terms of result. I'm disappointed, you know, inconsistencies is what disappointing a little bit to me. But again, there's, you know, those guys are still hanging in there. You know, players and coaches are doing a great job now to hang in there. There's still time to improve, and we have 28 games left. We have to improve our position, and each team probably says the same thing. So we're going to battle, and we'll see what happens.
Do you expect to be in the playoffs?
Yes.
Last one from Casey.
What have you thought of Zach LaVine's season?
I think it's great. I think, you know, he started kind of slow just because he's coming off the injury, but right now I think, you know, he's playing pretty well last 2 months, and he's definitely helping the team, and I hope for him to continue doing that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Artūras.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You skipped the